How do we do that? Well, we use the open standards that have emerged for distributed identity on the web. You all know where I'm going, OpenID. OpenID is the way that you can take authentication that's maintained in one place and rely on it in other applications. So when you build your application, you build in the support in your app using either just the standard or any of the libraries out there to be an OpenID relying party. You build that into your application. You put a couple of lines into the manifest that say, here's how I'm using single sign-on via OpenID, and here's my OpenID endpoint to allow that to work. The last point of integration that I'm going to talk about at this level is around getting access to data. As Vic said, it's terrific to build a great app. It's terrific to have all the UI integration so your users can get between Google Apps and your app and go back and forth. But what about actually being able to work with the information that they have stored in Google Apps? What if you have an application that maybe wants to create calendar entries on behalf of your users so that the information they're working with in your application can be integrated into Google Calendar? Or what if your application wants to let your users pick from a list of their contacts that they store in their Gmail address book, and you want them to be able to pick from that list to do some action in your application? Before I tell you the answer, I want to make sure people understand the challenge of securely accessing that data. This is a trust relationship that you're looking for in your application. So your application wants to get at some data, and that data is stored on Google servers. But it's not Google's data. The data belongs to a particular user at your customer and is administered by the domain admin for that customer. So what you really want to do is have your application ask the domain administrator for permission to access the user's data for the purposes of your application, and then make sure that that agreement is passed on to Google in a verifiable way so the information that you need is available, but only the information you need. That's a four-way trust relationship where all the parties have to be able to get that right. The last thing you want to do is invent the answer to that kind of four-way trust relationship yourself. Again, the good news is the community has invented the answer. OAuth is the emerging standard for how you do delegated trust, how you can do authorization on the web in a secure way for multi-party trust. And Google APIs use OAuth for authorization. What we've done in the marketplace is built that OAuth, the OAuth grant of trust capability into the marketplace flow. So what your application does, you're going to hear a theme here, puts a few lines in the manifest. You implement the code in your application to actually access our APIs using OAuth, and then you put code in the manifest that says, please. You say, my application would like access to your users' calendars, and here's why. In this case, because I would like to display their next calendar appointment. By putting the information, the request for trust in the manifest, the domain administrator, your customer, is able to grant you that trust so your application can access the information on behalf of your users who are our users, our joint users. All right, we've built a manifest. We've taken a simple few points of integration. We've put them together into a single XML file. I'd like to ask Ryan Boyd to come up here, and we're going to switch from slides to a demonstration now. So this is a manifest that we've built for a simple Hello World application. Well, Ryan is a developer, and he's actually built a simple Hello World application. So if we could switch to the demo, what you're going to see now, here's the real version of the manifest. This is what Ryan's been working on. So he's built his application. He's described the integration in his manifest file, sitting in a high-tech text editor. He's always wondered which side of the Emacs versus VI war you were on. Now I know. He's built his application. So now what does he want to do? He wants to put it in the marketplace. So let's switch to the marketplace. And you're going to see now the same marketplace UI that Vic showed you a picture of before. This is the live marketplace UI. Has the usual tools you'd expect in a marketplace that your customers, the domain admins, use to find the apps they want and install them. But you'll also notice, if you look closely at the top right, that because Ryan is logged in as a vendor, as a software developer, and because he has previously registered himself as a vendor with the marketplace, he has a new link to his vendor profile. So if he clicks on that, we're now going to see Ryan's vendor page. So when we click on the vendor profile, we see here's the information that Ryan has entered about his company, contact information, whatever he wants to put in about his company. But you'll also see that he doesn't have anything for sale yet. He hasn't yet created any apps for sale in the store. Well, let's do that. Let's go ahead and create his first listing. So when he's creating a listing, the first thing that he's going to do is take that manifest file that he built, copy the information from the manifest file, and he's going to paste it into the listing page. There it is, paste it in. We've now done all the hard work. Technically, we're done. We're integrated. What's left is marketing. What's left is, let's tell Ryan's customers, his prospective buyers, what they need to know to discover and choose his application. So we'll start by filling in some information. What kind of application is this, so we can find it by browsing? Let's type in a name. Let's put in some of the marketing material that Ryan's crack marketing team has been working on to make sure that this is one of the more compelling apps. He probably has been working with a pricing consultant for a while to come up with a business strategy for making money on his application. And he's also, I'm sure, been working with the legal team to make sure that his terms of service are ironclad, boilerplate, and don't allow any exemptions. So terrific. He's got that in there. If you look at the top left of the listing page, he has the ability to put in some more information. This is all marketing and promotion information, describe the benefits of his application. He can put in some media, to have a screenshot of his app, maybe a video of his app in progress, whatever information he wants to use to help his buyers discover and choose his app and decide this is the app for them. All right, he's filled in his listing page. Now his next step is to save it and preview it, make sure that the listing looks the way he wants it to look. So we're saving the listing. The marketplace is going to show a preview. Here's what his listing would look like. He takes a quick look over it. He sees the information he entered. He sees a little bit of information he didn't enter explicitly. If you notice, under the Add It Now button, under Specifications, it says this application asks for access to Calendar because it uses Calendar for part of its integration. That was extracted from the manifest. That's information that we know about technically what the app does, so we can put it in the description of the app. All right, let's submit it. We have a listing, looks good. Submit it for approval. This kicks off the quick approval process where we go through and validate the listing and turn it on live in the marketplace. That might take a couple of days. Rather than waiting for a couple of days here, Ryan has previously published another copy of this app, and now you'll see he's logged in as the admin at a customer. So what we're going to do now is walk through the experience of a prospective buyer of Ryan's application. So this prospective buyer, this admin at Acme Systems, has been looking for a Hello World app. They've been looking for the best one. And they searched in the marketplace, and they found a killer description of Ryan's application. They said, this looks like the one I want. So the admin says, yes, I would like to add this application to my domain. So let's add it. First thing you have to do, of course, is say, what is your domain? Where are you trying to install it? So Acme Systems Inc. wants to install it. Now, because we're trying to install an application on our domain, we have to prove that we are the admin, that we have the rights to install it. And all that's left is 3 clicks. First click is, let's agree to the terms of service of this application. So yes, we accept these terms. These are the terms that you as a software developer have put into the marketplace for your buyers to use. Second, we've been talking about data access. Well, this is where the domain admin sees this application would like to display your next upcoming calendar appointment and therefore is requesting access to the Calendar API to get access to that information. Sounds good. Let's grant access. The app is now installed, and all that's left is to enable it. Flip the switch. Let's turn it on. So the admin of Acme Systems has now installed this application. They could manage it from the control panel if they wanted, along with all their other apps. Or they could go, as an end user, directly to one of their applications. Let's go ahead and let's go to Gmail in this case. So now I'm just a user of Acme Systems, logging in, looking at my Gmail, have my regular mail, and at the top left I have my nav bar where I can see what applications, and look, there's a new entry in the menu, Hello World. Let's go ahead and launch this brand new application. And now we're launching the application using the link that we specified in the manifest to get to the application. No sign-on dialog because we're already signed in, and the app is actually showing us that it knows who we are to show that. And because the app was granted access to Calendar, can find out that Mary's next appointment is to join us in eating some s'mores right after this event ends. So that's the flow. Build your app, integrate it, describe the integration in the manifest, list it in the marketplace, sell it, your users can use it. It's that simple. Thank you, Ryan. So if we could go back to the slides. What you just saw was the complete flow of everything it takes to integrate. But you saw that flow on a complete sample application, just a test application to show the capabilities. I'd now like to bring up Martin and Mindy from Intuit, who are going to show you how using